Mixing and mastering. Do you really know the difference between these two processes? We've heard a lot of producers say you need to mix it, you need to master it, you need to bring it to this level during mixing and mastering and post-production and all these different terms. But what is the actual difference between mixing process and mastering process? What does an engineer exactly do during these two processes? That's what we're going to learn today. I'm going to show you the exact difference between mixing and mastering, and visually also we'll try to explain these two processes for you. I'm Florina Jain, otherwise known as Flow of Music, and I put out a lot of music production related videos on my channel. So if you don't want to miss those videos, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So let's get started. So recently I uploaded a YouTube Shorts and an Instagram Reel asking my followers to put down their thoughts on the differences between mixing and mastering, and they had so many different values inside them. So I am here to just condense all that and maybe to even add few more values and to tell you the exact difference between mixing and mastering. So if you want to quickly know the difference between these two topics, then here's a brief idea on mixing and mastering. When you take mixing, it is the time when you have to deal with individual elements. Meaning, I have a vocal track, I have some drums, I have piano, I have guitar. Let's take 4 instruments. So I need to individually fix everything. Suppose there is some fault with the vocals, I need to sit and eliminate those faults. I need to make it sound nice. Then I have to go to the drums track and make sure everything is sounding nice. If something is not sounding nice, I have to remove it. I need to make it more crisp and more groovy. And then I go next to the piano. Like that, one by one, I go ahead and fix it. When it comes to mastering, I deal with the output of the mix. Okay, so after finishing mixing, I take an output, put it on a new project, and this is the time I'm going to enhance the volume so that it will sound appropriate. When you listen to all other songs on Spotify and then you listen to your song, it's going to sound in the same level. So I increase the standards to professional quality with respect to volume, and I also add some saturation and some beautiful color to the overall tone of the track. This is a basic definition, and if you just wanted to know this, that's it. So you can just skip the video after this. But if you are somebody who wants to really get into the depths of mixing and mastering and really look at projects and see what the heck is going on in a mixing project and a mastering project, then continue watching this video. So let's take mixing. And I have a project open for you. And in this project, I've got vocal tracks. So you can see there are 4 vocal tracks. I've got percussion tracks as well. So you can see 2 kicks, and I've got hi-hat and all these different stuff. I've got a guitar track, I've got piano track, I've got strings, some ambience and some mouth organ kind of a track. So this is how any mixing project will typically look like. You'll have all the individual elements inside your project and you can manipulate them as and how you want. Like for example, if I open the kick track, if I open the inspector, I've got a channel EQ and some plugins running around. If I open the piano, I've got some other plugins running around, like a couple of EQ, a compressor, and I've used some plugins to even increase the width so that the piano will sound kind of full. So what I'm trying to do is fix all these tracks individually. Okay, so once I finish fixing the vocals and making it sound good, I'll go ahead to the second vocals. Like that, one by one, I'll go ahead and fix every track in the mixing window. And I will also kind of mix it with respect to each other. Like after doing everything, suppose I want the vocals and the percussion. Now suppose I feel like the bass is too loud, I can go ahead and reduce the volume. If I feel like the overall group of the piano is too soft, I can increase the group volume. Like that, I can go ahead and change whatever I want. I'm basically trying to make sure that each track is sounding nice, each track is sounding good, and it is free from noise, and I'm trying to enhance it in a better manner. So this is how a mixing window looks like. Now let me show you a mastering project. So first of all, in order to begin mastering for a project, you need to first bounce the mix. So what I will do is I'll put a cycle like this, and then I'll do Command B, and I'll get this. So obviously, when I am doing it with high quality, MP3 is not the version I go for. I'll click PCM, which is essentially the waveform. So I choose wave and then I click OK. and you go to your location and save it in your location, all those things. How will it save? It will save like a single audio track, right? You won't have like individual tracks getting saved. You'll have a single track, a bounce of this entire project. So this is how a mastering project will look like. If I feel like I want to change the volume of a vocal track, do you think I can do it here? I can't, obviously, right? Because I just have one file. And if I want to change some individual component, I need to go back to the project that has all the individual components, which is the mixing project. So I need to go there, do my change, and come back here. Mastering is where you raise your volume levels. Normally, after the mixing scenario, when you listen to that mixing output in your phone, you'll feel like, why is this overall volume too soft? And all the other songs on Spotify are sounding very loud and clear. Why is this too soft? That's because that process is handled during mastering. We don't deal with volume too much in the mixing process. Our job during mixing is not to increase the volume suitable for streaming services. No. During the mixing process, our job is to enhance every track, each and every track, fixing things and making it sound nice, enhancing things individually. That is mixing. Mastering is when you raise the volume levels so that it will sound loud and clear when you put it out on streaming services. So that is a process that's happening here. If you feel like there are some individual elements that I want to change, you cannot try to fix it during mastering. You might see videos that say how to do that, but in the end, you might compromise on the overall track. So it's better that if you have a mixing project of the same song, go there, fix it, and bring another bounce back to the mastering project. Don't try to fix a lot during the mastering stage. I just have a single file, and my process is to increase the volume. That's my primary process. And this video is catered to any beginner as well. So that's why I'm stressing a lot on volume when it comes to mastering. We add stuff like limiter in order to raise the volume. And there are a lot of guidelines that we need to remember when we raise the volume. And I'll probably create a video on that later on, but just note that to raise the volume suitable for streaming services, mastering is your process. Apart from that, what else do you do during mastering? So I add a little bit of warmth and tone to it. So what do I mean by that? If I need to give them a beautiful color of saturation and all that, which could, by the way, be done by EQ, compressors, saturators, and all those different things. So as I use the right plugins, what will happen is the overall tone of the song will sound rich. Now, to correlate the term rich, let's say you have a vocal track, okay? So you have the lead vocals, and then imagine you're adding harmony to it. So I'm adding a low harmony, a high harmony. Now it's going to sound rich, right? Even though my lead vocal is the main element, still these harmonies are going to back up my lead vocal, and in turn the overall vocal track is going to sound rich. That's what is happening during mastering, except that these additions are not going to be very prominent. It's a subtle change only, but that's what essentially is happening. I add plugins to make sure that the overall song is going to be rich and it's going to be filled with a lot of saturation. And saturation is this process, okay? Kind of like this process, you can remember it that way. Does mixing and mastering involve big changes? The direct answer to that is no, but let me explain that. When we go to a mixing process, when we deal with individual tracks, maybe we do a lot of changes. A macro change, like for example, I will be fixing the overall volume of the drums, overall volume of, the melodies, and then I'll be fixing the pitch if something goes off. Those are a pretty big changes, right? I'm making a lot of changes to make sure each and every track is sounding good. So you could probably say that during mixing, you do a couple of macro changes, which by meaning kind of like a big change, but not on all the plugins. When I use EQ, I'm not going to make a huge increase in one frequency and a huge cut in another frequency. No, it's still going to be subtle in certain areas. So overall, if you see during the mixing process, it is like a collection of big changes and small changes. Whereas when you come to mastering, it is only a collection of small changes. Because whatever change I do is not going to affect an individual track. It is going to affect the entire song because I'm dealing with a single track. So even if you want to add these harmonics or saturations that I just spoke about, you need to add it in a very subtle manner. The only big change that you might do during mastering is the volume. There's a huge change in volume. Obviously, during mixing, the volume will be here. and during mastering you are going to boost it in a way suitable for streaming services. So that might be the only major change. Apart from that, every other change that you do is a very small change only. So I guess with this we are done with the differences between mixing and mastering process. I plan to do this video because I heard from my clients that they really don't know the difference between mixing and mastering, and I just wanted to put out a brief video explaining these two processes so that any beginner who also looks at this video will kind of get the differences between these two processes. I hope this video was useful. Thank you so much for watching. Keep making music, and I'll see you guys in another video.